Well, welcome to October 25th, 2022 session of Tangerine SDR and Hamside technical session. My name is Dave, KB0S, and this week, been a lot of things going on. I had to update two operating systems on my machine and do a complete reinstall. And so I'm still getting things organized and back together. So a few things don't work and a few things are missing, and but it's always fun when you do that. I also installed on a third machine, a CentOS 7, got Quartus installed, and seem to be going fine on that. So that's been a big part of what I've been doing. The other thing that I did is when I reinstall my operating system, I messed up all my GitHub keys. So I'm reassembling those. That's the next task. If it isn't one thing, then it's another. So that's it for me. Nathaniel's putting his son to sleep, so I'm going to go to Jay Kennedy. Go ahead, Jay. Are you there? Well, let's see. I don't see any. We'll go on down. Next on the list after that is Jules, K2KGJ. Go ahead, Jules.
A lot this week. Still bringing in some firewood for the winter season, and a few other things around the house. But I was trying to get some progress on mounting of the new adapter boards with RM3100 magnetometer in 1.5 inch PVC pipe. The 50 plugs for the connector that I made here were received. I sent them off, and they have reached the destination.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And that I've been trying to the foam plug technique to try to use that to hold the board in place, and that unfortunately is putting too much pressure on certain, in my estimation, on certain items on the board. An easier technique is to cut a short length of PVC, 1.5 inch PVC pipe, just a tad longer than the board itself. And then using a couple of dots of epoxy at both ends, epoxy the board in place in the pipe, and that firmly embeds it in the pipe and keeps it held. Then plug the extension cable in that goes up to the connector with a 1.5 inch coupling, PVC the coupling to the long section of pipe, and then use RTV to fasten the short section into the other end of the coupling. And you've got something that you can easily disassemble to work on it with access to the board. It holds the board with no pressure on components. It also provides for circulation airspace around the board, which I think is probably a good idea. Anyway, back to you, Dave.
Well, it sounds like a good idea. After assembling mine, that seems to make sense. So Jay Kennedy came back. Go ahead, Jay. Comments? Your voice came through for a bit there. No, I don't hear him now. So I think he's trying to speak, but well, we'll go on down the list. Next on the list is Tom McDermott in 5EG. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, hopefully I've got everything unmuted this time. It's been a real busy week. I don't know if Scotty's here yet. I want to say thank you. He got me some data. that I needed for trying to debug the board. Let's see, put up 2 repositories on GitHub, one for the TangerineSDR FPGA image and one for utilities for TangerineSDR. Wrote a command line utility for sending provisioning packets to the FPGA board over the using the Tangerine protocol on the gigabit Ethernet. The image seems to be fairly stable now. It comes up and runs pretty much every time that I launch it. And the code is coming up well. I think that had to do with the switches that I changed. Scotty had some suggestions for some configuration changes. I'm trying to get the I2C interface to work. That is still not working. I've got some files from Scotty and I've got questions. I have a couple of differences between what he had for the FPGA pinout and what I've got. And so I think maybe if we're lucky, that'll explain what's going on. And if not, I've been watching the videos on Signal Tap, which is how you debug an FPGA and circuit. So, so back to the group, Dave.
Very good. And I know you've been busy. I've been following along. And I do see Jay Kennedy back. Is your voice there? Jay, can you hear us? I can see your picture. No, he doesn't seem to be able to hear us. Okay. I did want to give Nathaniel a chance to make some comments. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Oh, thanks, Dave. Things have just, continued to be very busy here. So Kung really helped out last week. He set up a second chirp sounder over at the university. So we now have 2 chirp sounder receivers, one at my house, one at the university. And I told Kung that what I really want for Christmas is to be able to take the Edis out of the chirp sounder and be able to put the Tangerine in its place. And so that was his motivation for getting that set up. So I told him that's what I want for Christmas. And maybe I'll leave it there.
Well, just a little motivation. So next on the list, we have Norm, AA 700. Go ahead. Oh, 700, sorry. Go ahead, Norm. Yes, there's no comment from Norm. Next on the list. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you had to hit the right mute button. I'm visiting to see how this project is going. I've been following it for a while, and I'm kind of waiting for something to come available. So just watching, and I can see a few of you who are working on it, and I know a few people that are on it. So good luck on all this.
Yeah. Okay. Next on the list is Mike, AA8K. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, thank you. Greetings to everyone listening. Back to you, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list is David Woodward. Go ahead, David.
Good evening to all on the net. Have nothing to report here, just learning some Python the last couple of days, and then programming is, I've learned I am my own biggest enemy, and got to play with a few antenna and an antennalyzer and a couple of antennas, and got a GPS crystal in. So I'm getting closer and closer to being somewhere. But as it is, we're still muddling through. I'll say 73s back to the group, K5 DPZ.
Okay. Next on the list is Dylan, KN6 IVW. Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, don't really have anything. do tonight. So I will send it back to you. Control.
Okay, very good. Seems like you're moving. So. Next on the list is Gary. AF8A. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, good evening, Dave. Good to see a lot of familiar calls and also some new names and calls on the net tonight. Been doing a couple of things here. Been working on some experiments with a loop antenna, a loop receiving antenna. I built one out of a 700mm bicycle wheel that I had in the junk pile. I'm trying to figure out the different parameters and what affects how well it may work. And also been working on the solar eclipse QSO party and some other possible operating events that may happen during the next couple of eclipses, and making a little progress there. So that's it. Back to net.
Fine business. And let's see, next on the list is Hillman, Kim.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Yeah, there's nothing special to report, so back to net.
Okay, next on the list is David McGaw in one HAC. Go ahead, David.
Good evening. Having internet problems over here. Gonna have to go get a new modem, I think, but seems to be stable for the moment. Yeah, continuing on the same old projects, and getting interested in testing out new hardware. I know Scotty just sent some off, so thank you very much. And don't think I have anything else to report right now, so back to net.
Okay, next on the list is James, KG4 DSG. Go ahead, James.
Evening, Dave and the group. Not much going on here. Been out of town at a relative's wedding and got back last night. Very well attended, very nice service. So trying to get back into the swing of things at this point. Back to the net.
Okay. Next is Jim, K4 BSE. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening, all. I'm muted and had my video off because you don't need to see me sitting here eating leftover pizza. Finally getting around to dinner. It's 9:15 my time. I set aside some time earlier to get it, and my neighbor called me with something. We stood out on the front lawn and talked for too long. Anyway, big thing here is that a local ham club is meeting Thursday night, and I'm the program. And after that got all set up, my wife set up some eye surgery, which they said you will be here at 12:30 on the same day. So I should be okay with it. The meeting is not till 7 that evening, but you never know when you get in with a bunch of doctors, and this is an hour away from here under no traffic conditions. Well, if you're familiar with Atlanta, there's no time during the day that there's no traffic. We do have traffic. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but got it written, and I want to make a video if I have a chance, but I can do it without the video if I have to. So that's about all that's happening here. Back to net, K4BSE.
Oh, okay. And next on the list is Joe, W7LUX. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you, Dave, and good evening, everybody. Busy here too, working on high frequency antennas, not much else. Back to you, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list is Jonathan, KC3EEY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. I've been kind of busy, but mainly with other stuff. Primarily my satellite antenna, but I'm getting that all squared away. I was there also has been some more chatter on that gamma ray burst. From the news, it was the one of the brightest ever recorded. So Unfortunately, we did not see much ionospheric activity over in the States here, but Europe saw quite a bit. There's still quite a bit of VLF transmitter reports about this. It is entirely possible that grapes could have seen this event too, but you just have to go through the data. But again, I don't know if they would have seen it because most people saw the most amount of propagation enhancement over in Europe, and just kind of small blips here in the U.S. And of course, me and Nathaniel didn't see anything. So, unfortunately, our ionosphere did not get impacted all that much, but Europe did. So there's still quite a lot of chatter in the Facebook groups about this event. Other than that, I've been going through and cleaning out fall's events on the VLF system, and also working on a presentation that about VLF that I will be doing for the local amateur radio club next week. That's all I have. Back to the net.
Well, fine business. And next on the list is Noel Pettit. Go ahead, Noel.
Good evening, one and all. This last weekend was the AMSAT general meeting here in Minnesota. So I got a chance to meet a lot of the AMSAT people. There will be additional satellites put up. One put up by the University of Maine and one, I believe, by University of Washington in this coming year and the next year. And then the Gulf and beyond satellites are still long distance in the future. Very, very interesting meeting. If you ever get a chance to go, you can learn a lot about the nitty gritty of putting up and operating satellites. But that's what I've done. Thank you, David. Back to you.
Very good. And next on the list is Scotty, WA2 DFI. Go ahead, Scotty.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, well, I got some stuff mailed out this week, so people should be getting their goodies in a couple days. And I've been working on the work project. I don't know if you can see this. I don't have long enough leads to bring it over in range. But you can see up, right, the LEDs going up and down.
Yes.
Well, that's the program that loads into RAM. But when I try to program the flash memory, it doesn't program. So I have more debugging to do to figure out what's going on there. Sent a few emails out to Tom and to you. So I wonder if you could make a space on the website to put that stuff, the source files.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to. I'm concerned with mixing it in with all the other stuff, but I guess if we got it separated out by board type, that would be enough for people to find it easily. So
I could put it on the individual board pages.
okay. And I included the stuff for the data engine, even though there nobody has any yet, but that's my next debugging fun and games. So and I don't know where I put it. I don't know if I told everyone, but I actually got real data engine boards back. So it's on the list to be checked out next. And I still have some RF modules and clock modules to go with them. So we'll be able to have the real thing. So anyway, so interested to talk to Tom about pinout discrepancies, because I may have made some mistakes. It seems to work on loopback though, so hopefully not any serious mistakes. And Nathaniel, thanks for the info on the ASU conference right after Hamvention. I would be interested in going to that. I don't know if I'm going to get back home in time though, because I usually drive, and it seems to start like on the Monday after Hamvention,
Yeah, the
And
timing's really rough for that, for
yeah,
us.
I almost can't get home that fast.
I know.
Even though I can get home fast, that's a long way. So
Yeah. And for me too, I was like, the way I normally do Hamvention, where I'm taking a whole van of students and, we're there and then driving back 10 hours and then, I can't, and then to be gone, it won't work.
it's like you can't drive. It's like 35 hours for you.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not just that, like, with my whole family, if we're gone for Hamvention and then gone for a week for that, it's like, and that's right after the semester's over. Oh, it'd just be really
Yeah.
difficult.
So I was thinking, would it be useful to attend part of it? I mean, I could get home maybe by Tuesday.
It might be, even if you just attend as a as a person. I have no idea. I've never been to it. You might be interested in seeing it. Maybe you could give one talk in some session about what we're doing, and then we have some representation
Yeah.
there.
Do you know, do they have any kind of schedule up yet, or is it a little early for that maybe?
Yeah, no, they don't have a schedule yet. They're actually doing a call for sessions right now. So that session submission date is like early November. But
Yeah, I
once
see
they
that.
have the call for sessions, then they'd have a call for abstracts later. And
Well, so what's a call for sessions? I don't understand that.
that's where people can say, we want to talk. Like, it would make sense if we wanted to have like a mini HamSci conference or HamSci workshop or a mini Tapper conference inside of the bigger citizen science conference. You'd propose to have a HamSci session or a Tapper session.
Okay, and then at the HamSci session, we could have 3 or 4 speakers or more to talk about different aspects.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be kind of cool if we could do that.
Yeah.
But that would mean we'd have to have more speakers than just myself.
Right.
And it's in May.
Yeah, it's right after Hamvention, like the Monday after
Because
Hamvention.
I mean, at ASU, and I mean, it can't be any closer.
I know.
Even though when I move, I'll be moving further away from ASU. It's still only like 4 miles. I think I can handle that.
Yeah.
And you said it's called CSI?
CitSci, like for citizen science.
CitSci? Okay, because it looks like a C-star Sci. So,
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the star is like citizen science.
oh, okay.
Star Sci.
How does that relate to HamSci? I mean, isn't HamSci
So
citizen science?
it's a conference for anything related to citizen science. So HamSci is considered a citizen science project. We're an official NASA citizen science project. So this is like a conference that covers all sorts of citizen science projects. And I know that the NASA citizen science people are encouraging the NASA citizen science projects to be a part of this.
So we ought to really be part of this. I mean, it seems like
it would be nice.
We could do it. Okay, well, let me think about this a little longer and read up on more information. There is a conference webpage you sent me, so.
Yeah.
But
where is that located?
It's at Arizona State University. We can put the link in the chat.
Okay. I will put the link.
I was thinking it was either going to be somewhere in New Jersey or Texas. I'm not sure why I was thinking that way.
Could I suggest at the very least find out where they're having it so that we could move Tapper there?
They're having it in Arizona State University, and they're having it the Monday through Friday immediately following Hamvention.
I meant the specific facility, and is it available?
We're already looking into that.
Okay.
For DCC.
Right.
And I did talk, I think, Scotty, I can't remember if I told you, I did talk to my one professor friend at ASU, but she's overly committed right now. So she just said she couldn't do it at the moment.
Oh, bummer.
I know.
Because the thing is, if you go to ASU and you look at the rates for their facilities,
yeah,
they're not.
Are they are they installing a new ham radio station at ASU or putting up a new tower?
I don't know about that. I haven't heard any.
Because the ARRL just did the new ARRL calendar is all about collegiate amateur radio clubs, and Scranton got featured on one of the pages. I think ASU's in there as well, and I think one of Bob Enderbitson's, maybe his daughter is going there, but one of his relatives is going there. They think they're featured in there. I think they're putting up a new ham radio tower.
No, I'll drive over to the ham station and look, because
Yeah.
they have a tower already with
Yeah,
a
or
transmitter on it.
yeah. So I mean, why can you talk to people over there about having them help you have
Well,
Tapper?
Yeah, so here's the thing, is that if you go onto the ASU facility pages, it
Right.
turns out that the facilities are, they're pretty reasonable. I mean, they're on the par with hotels, maybe a little cheaper because we don't depend on room nights to get our rooms for free.
Right.
But if it's an ASU sponsored event, the costs are like 1/10 of what they
Right.
are.
Which is why I was saying, yeah. So can you get their ham radio club to sponsor it?
Oh yeah, that might work. I don't know how big a muckety muck you have to be to sponsor something.
Well, every club has to have a faculty moderator or a staff
Yes.
moderator.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think who that is, because I'll have to check it out, because I used to be active in their group, but then they went to, instead of having an email, a mailman type server, mail server, they went to this internal ASU only server, email type server, and you had to be a student or a faculty to get in on it. If you're an alumni like I am, you have to go apply and they have to grant you permission. And I was just a big old hassle. And so I just didn't bother doing it. So that kind of cut me off from everybody, because now they're all over on that server and I can't see any of the messages. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Well,
They look active. I think Bob Enderbitson has connections there. Let me
it
email.
comes and goes, because it used to be really active because our Explorer Post members were also going to ASU. So it kind of was a little bit of, I remember the ARRL has the schools on the air or something, a contest where schools talk to each other, like a collegiate contest. And I used to get on and talk to ASU, give them some QSO points, because they're literally, I mean, you can probably see my antenna from their antenna. So it's pretty easy to talk to them. But all the guys that I know now have graduated and moved on. So I
Yeah.
don't know the new guys.
Yeah, I'll just send Bob Enderbitson an email and he might know somebody. I'm
Okay.
CCing you on it. So
Okay. Yeah, anybody that he knows out here, I can certainly contact him. And I mean, I've been around this area a long time and know lots of people. So maybe even know the person that is the advisor. Because it used to be, I forget, is it Dave Dodell, I think his name was. He was a dentist in Scottsdale. I think he was an alum, but he was not a professor. So I don't know if the faculty advisor has to be a current professor or not. Or current ASU employee. I don't know.
yeah. I'll just send Bob Enderbitson an email and see what he.
Yeah, because it
says.
would be really good, because at the prices that I saw and the facilities, they have facilities big enough for DCC. In fact, we could even have DCC the same weekend as GNU Radio Conference. There'd be enough rooms to do that.
Yeah.
But whether you want to have it at the same exact weekend, I'm not convinced that would be a good thing. We're talking about maybe the weekend after GNU Radio Conference, which is, maybe that's okay, but for the local people, that's great. But one is Monday through Friday, and the next one is the following Friday. So I mean, there's like a week apart. So that really doesn't matter. It doesn't help you stay over unless you wanted to, go sightseeing or something.
Yeah.
Make it a vacation.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I'm really intrigued by the low cost of the facilities, because if that would make it so that we wouldn't depend on room nights, so we could have a much smaller conference and still it would be viable.
Yeah. Does Bob Enderbitson know you?
Probably does. I don't know if I've talked to him What's his job at ARRL?
I forget his exact title. He's like, does engagement. He's actually the moderator for the ARRL Collegiate Amateur Radio program. So he's connected with a lot of the colleges, and I think,
Okay.
and so he'd also be a good person to try and get more college people to come to Tapper. They have telecons. The Collegiate Amateur Radio program has telecons once a month on Tuesday nights. And so I attended the last one, and I'm trying to attend more of them.
Is it open to anyone to attend?
Yep. It's called, so
can you send me
I
that
can,
info?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. ARRL Collegiate. Yeah, because I think this is a really good place to get more participation in both Tapper and HamSci at both conferences.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I went to the link that you put up, and that tower there that they're erecting, that's the tower that's up now. That's an old picture. So they put that tower up, maybe 10 years ago, I think, maybe longer. Because what happened is that the Arizona Children's Hospital is just about a quarter mile from the ASU campus, and the university bought the property when they moved the hospital somewhere else. And so they got this brand new, well, not brand new, but they got a new building, and they gave the radio club a meeting room in the building, and they let them set the tower up alongside. Their shack is, I think, on the second floor or the third floor. They're not on the ground floor, but they're right next to where the tower is. So it worked out pretty well. I'm just looking here. I'm looking to see if I know any of these guys, because I don't. The gallery view. Okay. So this is fall 2022. This is good. This means they might actually be starting up again, because the history of the ASU club, when I was at ASU back in the ancient days, there was no radio club, because the students all graduate, and it kind of it shrinks down, and then somebody comes in who's interested, and then they get a bunch of people, then it balloons up again, and it kind of comes and goes. And in fact, I remember one of the guys at the local DX club, when they liquidated the station, he bought a Collins S line for like $200 at the ASU factory outlet. It's not auction, but it's surplus property store. And usually it's a bunch of old junk computers that nobody wants, but he was wandering through and he saw an S line there, and he picked it up for next to nothing. And it was the old ASU amateur station that they auctioned off because nobody was around, and they all left, and nobody knew what it was or where it was supposed to be. And so they sold it.
Huh.
But they had a pretty nice station when about 10 years ago, when the guys in my Explorer post were, one of my Explorers was actually the president of the club. And KD7NZK was his call sign, but he's about 30 now, so he's long graduated.
Yeah. Well, let's see what Yeah, I'm curious what Bob Inderbitson has to say. And I put the Collegiate Amateur Radio program link in the chat there, and you can there's a link where you can sign up for the monthly telecons.
That's in the chat. Okay. I could figure out how to use my computer.
I think there's a
yeah,
register for monthly webinars. So next one is November 8th.
This is the ARRL page that has the link on it.
Yeah, I'm
just gonna bookmark that because I won't.
I'll put the direct link to. Here's a direct link to the registration.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be cool to see them fire up again.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I was involved in that. And you know, if advisors could be alumni, I mean, I would consider volunteering for that because I'm right close by.
It'd make a lot of sense.
And then we could really get involved with doing some cool stuff.
I
Maybe
agree.
Get some more Hamside members maybe out of it.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So is there a NASA group, the SITSI group, NASA group at ASU?
I don't know about that.
I mean, I'm just curious as to why NASA picked ASU, because there must be some connection there.
Well, so the conference isn't actually run by NASA. It's run by, did you put the link in the chat for that one? Yeah, you did. It's run by the citizenscience.org organization, the CSA, Citizen Science Association. So they're an independent organization, but they're, you know, in the business of trying to engage citizen scientists and citizen science projects. And you know, NASA does have its own citizen science like branch, but they're independent from the CSA.
So CSA is running this
yes
conference then. So it'd be
That's
interesting
right.
to see why they picked ASU, other than, well, ASU is a big university, so that's
right.
I suppose. That ASU and Ohio State go back and forth for vying for the largest university in the United States.
Wow.
And sometimes it's ASU, sometimes it's Ohio State. It goes back and forth.
I heard that ASU built this big dorm for retirees where you could buy
well,
like a condo and then you get
that's 2 blocks from my house.
and
okay?
tuition's included and everything.
Really? So wait, so
Yeah.
I can retire and then go back to school?
Yeah, I think that was the deal. You buy like a condo in this dorm for some obnoxiously large amount of money, but then one of the things you get is like tuition for whatever any class you want to take is included.
Oh no, that's cool. See,
Yeah.
we saw that go up. Okay, so that used to be called Tempe Center, and it was a big parking lot with a strip mall behind it, and it was basically, they had guards out there. So if ASU students were to park in the parking lot, they watched when you parked your car to see that you went into a shop. If you didn't go into the shop, they'd tow your car away, because students like to park there because it's right next to campus. And well, ASU bought it. And now they put 2 like 25-story high rises on where the parking lot used to be. And they say senior condos or something. I'm going like, what in the hell does ASU have to do with senior condos? I mean, so your explanation is good. That lets me know what they're doing, because I couldn't figure out why ASU would sponsor a bunch of senior condos. Probably because they can get a huge ton of money for them.
There's an article in the Wall Street Journal about it. I just put that in the chat.
Oh, geez. Okay, so I have to go here to find out what's happening in 2 blocks away from me in town. There's 2 links here.
The second link is the Wall Street Journal article. The first link is to register for the ARRL Collegiate Amateur Radio Program.
So if you were on top of this building that you see there, and you look to your right, you could see the towers of my house. Pretty close there. Maybe there's another hotel in the way that's about 10 stories, so it might be blocked. But all these, like that building to the left, and the rust-colored building, and the parking garage to the right, all that stuff is new in the past couple of years.
Wow.
So Tempe's gone cosmopolitan and decided to build big skyscrapers now. The building to the left, it was supposed to be a resort hotel. And then 2008, 7 and 8 happened, the big recession, and everything stopped, and it was still a dirt lot.
Yeah.
I guess they decided that it wasn't going to be good. So I don't know exactly the relationship with ASU, but there's another one to the left, which you can't see, and it has the ASU logo on it. So they must have bought the land and put that building up, because it's owned by ASU. So ASU is kind of like the Pac-Man. It's gobbling up all the area around the campus in Tempe.
Yeah. Apparently, though, the retirees don't like the parties that the undergrads throw.
So do they have like party floors and non-party floors?
Something like that.
So they have the geriatric floors for the people who want to go to sleep, and then the party floors for people who want to. So I wonder if you are an alumni and you're loaded with dough and you want to send your kid there, if you could buy a condo and use it for your dorm room for your kid. And then
Yeah,
there'd
I
be
don't
students
know.
living there, so there'd be parties, right?
Yeah.
ASU is a notorious party school, so there you go.
Very
Okay, so this must be where I'm going to live after I get too old to operate my radio. Anyway, okay, thanks for the links. That was I think I got kind of off the subject here, so. Anyway, I don't
And
have
in
anything else today, so
anyone's interested in NASA citizen science, here's the NASA citizen science page.
okay, did you put that in the chat too?
Yeah, it's the third link now.
So is Hamsai in here somewhere? It should be featured
It is.
prominently, right?
Yeah, it's toward the bottom, actually.
We need a little refresh to move up in the world. There it is.
I don't know how they decide what order to put things in, but
Well, we need to be called AAA Hamsai, and then we'll get listed at the top.
I don't know. It's not in alphabetical order.
Yeah, you're right. It isn't. What do they have? Different colors also above? I haven't figured out. Oh, there it is. Sun, solar system, universe. Oh, well, we need to be universe. That's the problem. No, because they don't appear to be in the order sorted like that either.
What are we? So we're categorized as sun.
It's sun, right?
I'm not sure if that's quite right. We're
Well,
in
you're
between
kinda
the sun. We're
Well,
affected by the sun, but
solar system may be more accurate, wouldn't it?
no, I would say it'd either be we're between the sun and the earth. I'd almost say a space experiment's more accurate.
Oh, okay.
But they put Aurorasaurus in the same category.
There's only one
Yes.
orange one. That's interesting.
Yeah, the sort of stuff we do, NASA calls living with a star.
Yeah. LWS.
So basically sun research.
Yeah, the
Probably if you
sun-Earth connection.
If you have to pick one.
Well,
sun is
I think
probably the best one.
NJIT had it right. They call themselves the Center for Solar Terrestrial Research.
So yellow and green.
Yeah.
Tell them we want 2 bars.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and
The other.
yeah, and the augmenting program is the Center for Extraterrestrial Research.
Yes.
Are they on here, Dave? David?
What's that?
Is SETI on here? I didn't see them.
I don't think
Oh,
they're considered an official NASA citizen science project.
See, your picture should be up here, Nathaniel, of meet NASA scientists.
My picture is up there.
Well, they only have 4. You should be in the top 4.
Well, you see, I'm not technically considered a citizen scientist. As soon as you get paid, you're not considered a citizen scientist.
Oh, I see.
That's their definition.
So like you gotta be
they
an
have
Olympian.
rules about things.
You gotta be, so once it's like Olympics, once you do it professionally, you're disqualified.
That's right. So yes. So if you don't get paid, you can qualify as a citizen scientist once you get paid. So I don't know if you're technically, since you have the Zephyr thing.
Yeah, well, my
So-
job isn't
Oh.
science, so maybe.
So how does that work for those of us that are academics, but not academic?
I get to
Sci-
count you.
not-
I get to count you as a citizen scientist.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like sometimes it's kind of cheating because like I have Mary Lou West who's really helping me out a lot right now, and she's
Yeah.
totally volunteering her time. but she has a PhD in astrophysics and 40 years experience. So, and now she's helping to like co-advise and to advise, you know, Bill Engelke's machine learning students and doing all these things.
Well, I searched for you by name and you're not listed here.
No, well, the reason, so my picture is right there. I am. That's me.
Oh, that's just a shadow, Nathaniel.
But if you take that image and you adjust the contrast, you'll actually be able to see my face.
So actually, that guy standing could be me. I mean, you know, you can't tell, right?
That's Polka Joe.
Okay. I'm hiding
That's-
behind the chimney over there.
That's my friend from college, Polka Joe. Yeah. And that's the chimney on my mom's house.
I actually recognize that picture from one of your slides.
It's on all of my slides.
Okay, that's why.
It's also, if you go to hamsci.org, if you go, it's on all of the banners.
Yeah.
It's, where is it? See, it's right there.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. And that's it. We're installing a G5, a shortened G5 RV on top of my roof there. My mom took the photo.
Okay.
I just adopted it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it came out really nicely. And yeah, if you do adjust the contrast, you actually can see our faces.
Now that NASA app request that they put out a few weeks ago, that they're trying to put together data using US.
Mm-hmm. Did we lose you?
My microphone quit out there for a second. You know, I was thinking, you know, I've got like 14 acres that I want to put a few stations on, you know, because I've mentioned before, I'm going to be right in the middle of the occultation on the 2024 eclipse, and I'm going to be right on the edge of the 2023. You know, so on the edge one, I'm going to try to, of course, shoot across the occultation, you know, to check for, you know, disturbance or effects that way. But just for the average, you know, daily, you know, whisper data, you know, I want to have, I was thinking of the loop on the ground type antenna. That way it's focused right straight up, because I'm not going for distance, you know, so it's, and, you know, I've got wildlife out there. So, you know, if I have wires on the ground, literally on the ground staked, then they'll be safe from, well, something might chew on them, but, you know, I would doubt that. And I'm, like I said, I want to have like 4 to 5 little stations, but all GPS connected, and also, and with as many magnetometers as I can afford, because, you know, not only do I want to catch the moon, I want to be able to say that, look, you know, you can tell that the moon just, you know, you can tell it's over the horizon, before the horizon, you know, where you should be able, if you acquire enough data, you should be able to tell when something crosses just with our. And so that's what I'm shooting for. So I'm shooting for asking for ideas, and now I've talked a whole lot, and I'll shut up and listen with my 2 ears. Thank you. 70 degrees.
Yeah, I think well, I don't know, does anyone else have suggestions? So you're looking to go ahead.
The loop on the ground seemed to be the most non-direct. You know, I'm looking for omnidirectional, but not distant. So, you know, I was thinking the loop on the ground, I may have some more noise to have to filter out, but then again, that's still just filters, right?
Yeah, I don't have any experience with loop on the ground antennas.
You're talking about a horizontal loop, right? You're muted again, David.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm literally talking about wire laid on the ground. I've always had good luck building dipole antennas, and I haven't ever tried one on the ground before, but you know, everything is measured against a dipole. And so I don't see how it could hurt.
Well, dipole in free space usually, but
Yeah. I mean, is it directly like laying on the ground? Because
Well, I can do it where it would be above the ground a bit. You know, I mean, I'm looking for ideas to have, because if the data coming out of it isn't worth seeing, then it's not worth doing.
right. Yeah, I don't have any experience with loops on the ground. I would think that the conductivity of the ground would cause a problem with it. I've heard of people laying loops on the ground down in Antarctica where the snow is not very conductive and the ice, just goes down for miles, but
Right.
but
well,
I
but you're going to
haven't.
insulate the antenna from the ground. Then look up on the internet. You can look up DOG or DUG, dipole on ground or dipole underground, and you could bury an insulated wire a few inches under the ground and actually still receive signals. I've never experimented with them, but I've heard of them.
Yeah, there's lots of mentions of a loop on the ground on the internet right now, but I hadn't heard of the Doug one before. But I'm sure going to look into it. You know, I know in Australia they've got that what they call the square meter array, or no, the square kilometer array. Now, granted, that's way the hell out of my budget, but having multiple stations all linked together, time stamped wise, it just seems like it couldn't hurt.
Sounds like an array of tangerines.
Exactly. That's why I've been following Tangerines real closely, but my problem is October 20 with the October of next year for the 23rd eclipse, and then in 24, and I would like to have several months of data acquired beforehand, so I've had time to tweak it and make sure what I'm looking at is what I'm looking at, so I don't just voila show up on the day of the eclipse and go, oh look, I'm going to record everything and then figure out what the hell I got. Sorry, I have to look at things from a very simplistic way because I know me.
Scotty, have you got time for a tangerine question?
Sure, fire away.
I appreciate all the information you've sent. I found one discrepancy on the pin list. And I think I've got an error in what I tried to do. I set the I2C interface to 3.3 volt CMOS, and you have it on the pin list as 2.5 volt for the receiver module, but the schematic says 3.3 volts.
What are the pins pulled up to? Are they pulled up to 3.3?
I think they're pulled up to 3.3.
Yeah.
But on the dev kit, it's on bank 4, which is a 2.5 volt bank.
Yeah, it probably has to be 2.5 because the bank has to be consistent with other things, especially if it's shared with the RF module, because the RF module, I think, is going to have to be strapped to 2.5 volts to get the 1.8 volt LVDS swing that we need.
Okay.
And the thing about the I2C ports is they should be open drain because they're pulled up. So it really doesn't matter what voltage level you set them to. It's the VOL that counts.
Right. The receiver module has a receiver on it, a translator that translates 3.3 volt I2C to 5 volt I2C.
Is
Yes,
This isn't the one that talks to the RF module, is it?
yes,
With that weird translator we put in there?
yes. That's because the relay driver is running things from 5 volts.
Okay.
So
Even so, it should still be open drain with pull-ups on the FPGA.
correct. I did not get an error when I set the IOs to 3.3 volt CMOS. The pin planner did not give me an error, but I'm wondering if that's causing it to not actually work.
Well, okay, because obviously all the pins in the same bank have to be set to the same IO voltage, otherwise it should give you an error, or at least a
Right.
warning.
It gave either. No warning, no error.
Huh.
And I'm wondering if that's why I can't talk to the I2Cs.
So did you go to the let's see, is it the not the pin planner, but the other one? Just a second. I've got Quartus open here, so
Yeah, I went to your QSF file and for the dev board, and we agreed on the pin names and the numbers and all that stuff. And
okay.
bidirectional, and the only thing that,
When you go to the pin planner, the banks are color coded. So
oh,
you
color coded, okay,
and if you click on the column, you can get them to sort by whatever that column is. So you should be able to click on the banks and it'll group all the bank signals together, and you can just look to see that they're all the same.
okay. I'll do that. I'm just wondering if that's why I can't get the I2C to talk.
It could be when you set the output high, do you set it to Z or to 1?
Z,
Okay, capital Z, right?
lowercase z.
Okay, might try. I think the only difference is going to be in simulation anyway, so I don't think it'll matter. But I use capital Z for like LED drivers that are open drain also.
Okay. Well, I appreciate all the files. I was going to try and take my scope probe, which is about the sharpness of a snow shovel, and put it across, the was it 0.03 mil, or 0.03 inch lead spacing part, and see if I can probe it.
Even the resistor leads too fat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So okay.
But you know what you can do though.
Go ahead.
What you can do is probe it at the resistor instead of the pin. But then of course you'd need the info I sent you, the placement and the schematic.
Yeah. I finally found which pin is pin 1. I needed the placement silk screen to see that because the dots underneath the IC.
Yeah.
Another
thing I do is when I probe resistors like that, I actually go in, I can tack a resistor lead on one side of the resistor, and then I can use the clip on the scope probe.
Okay. So I can easily get to pin 1 and pin 8 of the 8-pin part since they're on the corners. And that's the 5 volt I2C side. But I was just going to look and see if I can see the I2Cs wiggling at all. Quick question. I've been watching the Intel video on the signal tap. Can signal tap see the IO pins? Yeah.
Yes, but not directly. So what we do is if you want to see IO pins, if you want to see input pins, hook a register up to them and assign some names, assign some or inverters and put some names in, and then you can hook signal tap to those. But the biggest problem with signal tap is getting the right name for the right part. And if you add a signal to the signal tap list and you go and look in the pin list and you see it's in red, that means you can't see it. So even though it's there, you won't be able to probe it because it can't find it in the pin list. And the problem is that when you compile, a lot of the intermediate connections are removed. So then you try to probe something that isn't there anymore. So one thing that's a trick is when you go in to add a signal, go up in the top and put, like, say you're looking for AD in 1 through 15. Just put star AD star. Use wildcards, and it'll give you all the ones that, and then you can look through and you can figure out, maybe eventually it'll be more intuitive. You can figure out which one, if I add that one, I know it won't work. but if I add that one, it will.
Okay. Okay,
That
so
might
right,
help you a little bit.
yeah, right now I'm able to send the commands over the gig E. Since I flipped those 4 switches you told me about, it boots every time. And gig E comes up every time. And I'm able to debug the software. I can send gig E commands, send the commands to provision the I²C, and all the code gets to the right place and the right drivers, and nothing comes back. So I just get I2C timeouts on everything.
Okay.
So
So you haven't got the scope on there to see what happens on the other side, because it seemed to me that was kind of like a questionable setup that we did. So it'll be interesting to see that if it actually works. Seems to me there was some question about the values of the resistors to make it work in both directions.
that was the SPI interface.
Okay, but that was the one talking to the RF module, right?
Well, the RF module has 2 I2Cs and 1 SPI.
And the SPI is a 1.8 volt one, which is what the problem is, right?
No. It's an I2C. I haven't gotten around to the SPI yet. I haven't got the any of the I2Cs to work yet.
Okay, none of them even on like the ID modules?
I'm getting timeout. Well, those are way complicated. Those are really complex chips. And I'm pouring through drivers trying to figure out how to talk to them.
I thought maybe you could just read one register or something.
Yeah, they're crypto chips and they've got tons. You've got to go into the first 70 pages of the manual to figure out how to read it.
So it's easy for me to just add one on the board, but then you have to figure out how to read it.
Yeah, but anyway, so I haven't got any I2Cs to work yet. I'm getting device timeouts on them.
Okay.
So, okay, very good. Well, I'll use your advice and see if I can make progress this week.
Okay, yeah, just drop me an email if you have any other questions.
All right, I appreciate
I'll try to get back faster than I did before.
Okay, I appreciate the data dump. It's all been useful.
Okay, good. Well, I appreciate progress. It sounds good.
So Scotty, you still need to do your reimbursement for the Hamsite workshop?
I know I've been negligent because I've been trying to get this on. I got to tell you this. I have the customer I've been working with. I've been trying to get the FPGA to load, right? So here we have is a board that has a $500 DAC on it. It has a $1,000 FPGA on it, and it has a bunch of other expensive stuff. And I get the board back from the builder, and I can't even load the RAM file, the soft file. It's basically a brick. I can't do anything with it, right? And the guys, we're trying to get the software out, and the guy, I have to tell the guy, well, I don't know what to do. I've never had a board like this, like I couldn't load this. It's only 4 lines, right? It's just JTAG port. That's all that has to work. Well, it turns out that when I designed the board, I looked at the M-cell pins, which determines what is the boot mode of the FPGA, and I read it off of the ARIA GX datasheet. Now I'm using an ARIA 10 GX, not the same part, and the M-cell lines are different between the two. And after digging for 2 weeks, this cost me to do this. I finally found in one of the app notes, it says, oh, because JTAGs normally overrides all mem select pins. It resets the whole chain, and JTAG always works. That's the theory. Well, it turns out what they said in the data sheet was if you don't have M-cell set to a valid combination, and there's 3 pins and there's only 4 valid combinations, which means there's also 4 invalid combinations. If it's set to an invalid combination, JTAG doesn't work. It just loads halfway and then stops. No error, done, doesn't go high. It just sits there and looks at you. And and I'm checking all my pins to make sure I've got the ones that have to be high, high, and the ones that have to be low, low. I never thought to check the M-cell pins because it's so simple. So I finally found out that ARIA GX and ARIA 10 GX have different M-cell pins. So now I can, and by switching 2 of the M-cells to the opposite polarity, it worked.
Huh.
So, because the alternative was to respin the board to get some of the pads underneath that I didn't bring out, which is another mistake, but so finally so that's what I've been spending all this time on. And now I've got the RAM file so it loads, and I can't proceed to program the flash, which is really necessary. So it's like, here's the board, but we can't upgrade it. We can't load new programs in it. So before I can ship it to my customer, I have to have a way for him to load new programming files into it so he can test them. Because he's not an FPGA guy, so he's just going to want me to feed him programs with different features in it. So it's frustrating anyway, because this is the very basic thing. Okay, it's like you have a microprocessor board and you can't load the program, right? So
Yeah.
so how do you test anything if you can't load the code into the part?
Yeah. I think the thing with the reimbursement is we're going to have to close out the grant in December.
Oh,
and
okay.
we need to run the numbers and all that stuff. And so I think, it's now the middle of October and the paperwork takes a little while.
Yeah.
So I think I need to have you process that as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're going to lose our window.
Okay.
And as it is, accounts payable doesn't like me, and they're probably going to be grumpy because we're supposed to filed within 30 days of travel. So they're going to be unhappy.
Yeah, I know.
So
My first job, when I had to file an expense report for travel, I thought I was being so clever. Is I paid for everything in cash, and I counted the money in my wallet before I left, and I counted the money when I got back, and I took the amount and I divided it by the number of meals there were, and I submitted them with every meal costing the same, and they did not like that at all.
Nope. Yeah. So I mean, as it is, I don't know if we're gonna get any kickback, but
yeah.
So I think if you want to go through and try and get this processed, we have a new admin assistant. Her name is Salisa. I can put you in touch with her, and I can have her help you prepare the travel reimbursement.
Okay.
Would you like me to?
Yeah, if you could do that, just drop an introductory email, and I'll send it. So I'd send the stuff to her, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and she'll help you. She should help you with the forms. You'll have to be a little patient with her because she's like brand new to the job. But
oh, that's okay. I can be patient, but we don't have much time, so.
No, we don't. So yeah, I wanted to let you know that we have to move that along, and I'm just about getting ready to submit the new Hamside workshop grant.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, it's going to be in Scranton, right? This March?
That's the plan.
So do we have dates or anything?
March 17th and 18th.
So is it too early to make plane reservations, or can we start now?
I think you could make plane reservations.
Well, I mean, I can't make them, but if the date might change, then I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't anticipate the date changing. If you want to wait like another week or so. But we are, we're getting all the plans. We met with the hotel already. We still have to sign the hotel contract.
So is it going to be with the cool hotel there? It
will be. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have the nice that fancy hotel, which you stayed in before. So
yeah, the old railroad station, which is awesome.
That's the one.
What is that for?
It's for the Hamside workshop. So we're going to have a conference here in March in Scranton.
I'm not. Yeah. What is that?
What's what?
When is it? It's March 17th and 18th, and it is for presenting on topics related to amateur radio science and engineering. And there might be a way, you could work on a project and present something.
Well, I am working on a high capacity lithium ion battery pack so that I can do POTA and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I could go with something small, but no, my ego has to build something massive. I want to see how far I can go with it. So
Yeah, we'll have a call for abstracts and you can write it up and submit it.
Well, so Dylan, you should do a soda project, because that way you have to carry everything, so it limits how much big it can get.
I have thought about that before too, because I have a little QRP 5-watt QRP Labs kit that I built. I still need to fix that thing after I broke the darn thing, but I have that little thing that I can use for soda, and I've been wanting to make a bunch of little on the go stuff so that I can do POTA and soda at some point.
All right. Yeah, there's a guy in New Mexico that's a trail runner, and he actually does summits on the air, and he runs up the summit. He jogs up them. He actually will jog up Pikes Peak. And so he was giving a presentation. His entire station weighs 2 pounds, 1 ounce. And that's his old station. I'm sure it's lighter by now, but now that includes the radio, the battery, the logging equipment, whatever you need, and the antenna, everything, 2 pounds. It's amazing. And he says the way he logs is he uses vellum instead of paper, because if it rains, vellum doesn't fall apart in the water. So even if you log with a pencil on vellum, it's still legible after it gets wet.
Huh.
Little tricks like that, you know.
I'm trying to think how we would tie Dylan's project or his work into a science theme.
So how about if you battery power a magnetometer?
I'd have to look into what that is, because I've heard you guys talking about that. I've seen people talking about it, but I don't know what that is.
So it might be. Are you considering solar charging it maybe?
Yes, I am.
Because if you solar charge a little battery pack to put out at the variable end of the magnetometer, it might allow you to run a lot further away from the Raspberry Pi. I don't know, that might be, would that be enough ham side, Nathaniel?
It's possible, yeah, if it's helping to improve the technology that we're using. So we do a battery operated Raspberry Pi
or
magnetometer.
anything like a remote monitoring, you know, that kind of thing would be. So like a Tangerine, standalone Tangerine out in the middle of nowhere, battery powered with solar charger. But
That would be possible.
How would you get the data back? I mean, you probably have to talk to the phone network to get data back. Yeah, interesting.
So what do you?
If we can figure out a way to tie you into a more of a science project, then there's more potential for providing funding to actually pay for you to come to the conference.
Like a balloon ionosound?
I mean, for me, I've been thinking about that too, because one of the things I've always wanted to do later on, once I got more money and had a little more free time, is I wanted to mess around with trying to build some sort of either airplane or boat that you could stick in the ocean and then go around the world, track it and control it with using a ham radio to relay the signals. And I was wanting to do that, but I've heard stuff about that you can't transmit radio controlled signals over HF frequencies and all that, which I haven't really looked into yet because I'm not really looking at doing it, but I have thought about that before and was curious, at least. So that was something I wanted to at least try and look into and see how that would work.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I'm saying this for something as like monitoring signals, monitoring information, like what you.
When there's a break, I've got a comment for David about antennas on the ground. David, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Google Kilo 3 Mike Tango K3MT and Grasswire GRASSWIRE.
Okay, I will do that. Kilo 3, Mike Tango, and Grasswire.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You know, I have a good budget that that I can work off of, but I don't want to throw money away. So it's and the project has a finite date.
Okay, well, the comment about low antennas on the ground is the maximum radiation. If you have something stretched out straight, maximum radiation is off the end of the wire, and they're better than nothing.
Right. Well, and one of the best gains for them was their directivity. Because you're
right.
The idea was to get what's directly above us.
David, my internet's been cutting out, so I missed what you are using this antenna for.
Well, what I am trying to do is, well, I'm setting up a series of whisper antennas, and in combination with I've got 12.5 acres of property that I can put several antennas on, and I'd like to have several magnetometers and several systems of radio.
What are the antennas doing?
What are the antennas are doing for the whisper primarily? Now
How
the
many
magnetometer is separate.
Yeah, what are the bands that you're operating?
Well, I was going to use just like what Tapper has, the 80, 40, 10 and 80, 40, 20 and 10. And then whatever other bands would be scientifically useful. That's why I'm trying to design a station that would be useful, because I'm not doing it just for cute.
But are you trying to do NVIS? You're trying to do just straight up?
Yes. Because
why is that?
I came from was several weeks ago, Nathaniel shared that NASA request for building an app, and NASA's request was for the amateur radio operators to utilize their frequencies and the space station overhead. Now, granted, the space station, it only has UHF and VHF, but I understand there's supposed to be some 40 meters on it. But anyway, their project was, to try to map the sky above us. And so I'm thinking that if I have a few stations all in one small, 12.5 acre, little rectangle, I can do a pretty good job of mapping right directly above me.
But who's picking them up?
Well, if you set it on the whisper, then you would be able to tell the directionality, even though you're shooting your signal straight up and you're using the whisper technology, you're still seeing where your signal's going to. So in a way,
I don't understand who's receiving it.
Who's receiving it? Okay.
Whisper is a transmitter, but it has to have a receiver.
But the network itself, I know when I was able to go and look and see where my station was being received at. And so I was able
but do you have a receiver nearby?
Excuse me?
Do you have a receiver nearby your site?
I have access to, yes, I'm building. I'm in the process of making several of these smaller whisper transmitters is what I am intending to make. But of
I
course,
understand that, but who's receiving it? You're saying the space station is receiving it?
no. That's kind of like a side note. You know, that
But,
was something in
but why do
curiosity.
you want it to go straight up?
Well, when you on the property, when you start putting something in the air, it becomes more of a lightning rod, and then you have, well, okay, well, maybe it's maybe I'm
Are you
maybe
prone to lightning in your site?
I'm just maybe I'm not thinking correctly. I thought it would be beneficial to science.
Well, yeah, whisper transmitters are, but I don't think you need to be sending it straight up. But the fact is that on the lower bands, unless you put the dipole 50 feet in the air, it's going to be pretty much NVIS anyway. I'm wondering why you're trying to use a loop rather than a dipole.
Well, I said loop, but and I meant to say I built a fan dipole that I currently have out laying on the ground, and I made it for 80, 40, 20, and 10, and I compared it to my in-fed antenna, and it had better SWR than the in-fed, just laying on the ground as a 80, 40, 20, and 10 dipole. And so
Okay, well, it sounds like this needs further discussion, but
exactly. That's why I just kind of threw it out there, because I'm running out of time and I'm asking for ideas.
well, just put the fan dipole 20 feet in the air and it'll do better than even sitting on the ground.
See, my previous antenna out there when we were living on the property, it was just a dipole for 80 meters, and I had pretty good luck with it. But I made this fan dipole, and I was curious about how it would do, and I didn't want to stretch it up at this location. And I'd been reading about the loop on the ground antenna, and I thought it would be worth it to just plug it in on the nano VNA and just see what it looked like, you know. And so after testing one, recalibrating it, testing the other, and you know, it was really surprising to me, you know, the similarities but differences.
I think for the science, if you're just planning on doing whisper, which is a very valuable thing to do, if you do whisper, I think you can really, like David said, you could do quite well just putting up a regular dipole. And you know, SWR isn't the end all and be all of everything. You know, I think someone once told me that dummy load has a 1-to-1 SWR. It doesn't radiate. So
Right.
you know, so I think you know, if you're really trying to go for a specific pattern or something like that, you know, going through the effort of doing this more exotic antenna type might be, you know, something to look into. But if you don't have a really specific reason, if you're just like, I want to get something on the air that's going to produce data, you know, I think just putting, you know, a standard dipole up with a whisper transceiver is a really good way to go.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I think
thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think I'm going to say 73 for now. So Scotty, I will send you that introductory email, and then I will see everyone later.
73 is all. Thank you.
73.
73. Thank you.
73.